Now, Andy, before I get you out of here, I got to ask you, because again, there's a lot of people probably tuned in that either have kids or kids themselves that want to do something like what you do. And certainly we all know in journalism and TV and radio and, things have, of course, changed so much since you came out of school with social media and the way things are distributed and the way content is made. I mean, it's wild. It's given, thankfully it's given someone like me the opportunity to do what I do. But I'll ask you, if you had to give a piece of advice to a kid that's maybe in school, maybe at South Carolina, at Georgia Tech, wherever
Sure.
they're at, that wants to pursue what you do as their career, I guess, what's that piece of advice you would give them?
Well, the first thing I would say is broadcasting is very much an initiative industry. And so you have to really make a dedicated effort to network and develop relationships with people who are willing to critique your work and take an investment in your improvement as a broadcaster. But beyond that, you're right. The medium has changed so much, even from when I came back to South Carolina in 2009. We might not have the captive audience, particularly on the radio, that we had 20 and 30 years ago when Bob Fulton was calling games at Georgia Tech and also South Carolina. But I refuse to buy into the rhetoric that our medium is somehow marginalized as a result of that. In fact, I would argue that your voice can carry more than it ever has because of all these different platforms now that you can use to engage with your audience and connect with your fans. So you have to make sure that you can be a broadcaster who's more than just a radio broadcaster, that you can develop ways to share the stories of your teams and your school or your organization beyond just your call of the game. Think of yourself as a storyteller of your team, and your radio play-by-play is one component of that. Whether it's writing columns or doing podcasts or being creative in how you present interviews or share social media or digital media content about your teams, there are a lot of different ways that you can capture an audience that can funnel people back to the essence of what you do, which is play-by-play. But you have to put in that time and dedication to do it. If you can, though, you'll realize that you can develop just as devoted an audience now as when the 75% of your games were only available on radio and people had no choice but to listen to you. So as long as you can make sure you don't define yourself strictly as a radio broadcaster, and that you take advantage of every platform that you have to build your brand, build your voice, build your identity, you can find that you can still be every bit as relevant as the play-by-play voices of old. So just being able to take the initiative, the creativity to develop all these different ways to connect with your audience, it can be very, very rewarding. And you wake up every day very excited to do what you do.